Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Mariam Farid. I'm with you today to explain a grammar lesson, which is past simple, past progressive, and past perfect. Yes, today we are going to compare between some past tenses. Looking at the slides, let's begin with the past simple tense. Past simple tense shows that you are talking about something that has already happened. It emphasizes the action is finished. How to form this tense? For regular verbs, we add ed to the root form of the verb, or just d if the root form already ends in an e. Like listen, we add ed, listened. Type, we just add d because it ends with e, typed. But of course, don't forget that we have some irregular verbs like see, it's so, go, went, put, it's the same put. About the time expressions, we have ago, yesterday, last, in, any year in the past, which is like 1998, for example. Slide number 3. Talking about when we are going to use this tense. For example, we can use it to describe a completed action in the past. The time is usually mentioned. I bought a CD player yesterday. When? It happened yesterday. That's why I'm using here past simple. To describe completed actions that happened one after the other in the past. I walked in the garden, ate an ice cream, and met my friend. A lot of past actions, one happened after the other. That's why I use past simple for all of them. To describe past habits or repeated actions in the past, often used with adverbs of frequency, like always, often, sometimes, usually. When I was younger, I often went running in the park. To describe permanent situation in the past, Ali lived with his grandparents when he was young. It was his life there, all his life with his parents, grandparents. To describe an action in the past that interrupted a longer action in progress. If I have a short action and long action, short action interrupted the longer one, we have to use the past simple for the shorter action. I was sleeping when the phone rang. Slide 4. Forming the questions, we have to use did with this tense. Did she play tennis when she was younger? And of course we use did with all pronouns. But questions with who, we don't often use it. Who discovered penicillin? Who wrote Black Beauty? Except for, of course, verb to be. We have to use was or were plus subject. Was David in a good mood yesterday? Slide 5. Moving to negative, how to form negative form. We use didn't to make negatives with the past simple. They didn't go to Spain this year. Of course, we use didn't with all pronouns, except for verb to be. We just add not with was or were. We were not ready for the exam yesterday. Slide 6, we are going now to talk about the past progressive. Its form, we form this tense by using was or were plus verb plus ing. A lot of time expressions like when, while, as, just as. We use it to describe an action in progress at a certain time in the past. What were you doing at 10 o'clock last night? I'm trying to know what happened at this time last night. To describe actions that were happening at the same time in the past, usually with while or as, two long actions happening at the same time. No one of them interrupted the other. That's why we have to use here past progressive. While Mary was cooking, John was sleeping. Slide 7. To describe background scenes of a story. There were a lot of people at the station. Some were talking on their mobiles. I'm describing here what was happening. To describe temporary past states or actions. My father was writing a play in those days. It's not his habit, but in those days an action was happening. That's why I'm using here past continuous. To describe repetitive or annoying actions with the adverbs of frequency, always or continually. My brother was always taking my toys when we were young. Yes, always is a key word for present simple, but I may use always to talk about my annoyance if I'm using here past progressive or continuous. To describe an action in progress in the past that was interrupted by another action. Long actions for past continuous, while short ones for the past simple. If I have a long action, should be written in the past continuous, like while I was driving, what happened? Another short action interrupted this. I saw a cat in the street. Slide 8. It's very important to know that we use while, as, just as, plus past progressive or continuous, then past progressive. If I'm talking about two long actions happening at the same time, no one of them interrupted the other. While June was sleeping, I was playing music. I use while, as, just as, with past continuous, then past simple if I'm talking about long action which was interrupted by another short action. While I was doing my homework, the light went out. When plus past simple, don't forget this, when should be followed by past simple. While should be followed by past continuous. When the light went out, I was doing my homework. If I asked you here to change when and to use while, you have to be careful that while should be followed by the past progressive. While I was doing my homework, the light went out. Slide 9. Now, comparing between past simple and past progressive. We have time clauses like when, while, as soon as. We use the past progressive and the past simple in the same sentence when one action interrupted another. In the past, we use the past progressive for the longer action, as we have mentioned, and the past simple for the shorter action. In this case, we usually use while, when, or as. As or while, they are the same. I was driving, I saw a cat in the street. I was sleeping when the telephone rang, and I'm talking here about short actions after when. But be careful, we use as soon as with the past simple. Yes, as, but it's as soon as. As soon as they left, don't be confused between as soon as and as, or just as only. As soon as they left, we started cleaning up the house. Slide 10. We have exercise here, slide 10, 11, and 12, some exercises, they are answered and you can read them and test yourself, test your understanding. Moving to slide 13, we are going to talk about another past action, which is the past perfect tense. It indicates that an action was completed, finished, or perfected at some point in the past before something else happened. So, when we are talking about past continuous and past simple, we are talking about long action and short action. The shorter action interrupted the longer one. Here we are talking about first action and second action. Both of them happened in the past. Slide 14, we have some examples here talking about first action and second action. Of course, John had gone out. This is the first action. That's why I used here past perfect. When I arrived in the office, it's the second action, and that's why I'm using here past simple. I had saved my document. This is what happened first. That's why had saved, past perfect. Before the computer crashed here past simple because it's the second action, and so on. Slide 15. Past perfect forms. The past perfect is formed using had plus past participle of the verb. Questions are indicated by inverting the subject and had. Negatives are made with not. Statements like you had studied, had plus past participle here. Questions, we have to begin with had. Had you studied English before you moved to New York? Negative, we just add not beside had. You hadn't studied English before. Slide 16. Let's talk about the use of or the usage of past perfect. The first one, for completed action before another action in the past. The past perfect expresses the idea that something occurred before another action in the past. Two actions, first and second. The first one, which is started and finished before the beginning of the second one, would be past perfect. It can also show that something happened before a specific time. Instead of having two actions, I could have one action started and finished before a time, specific time in the past. Slide 17, I have here a lot of examples. Let's read some of them. For example, the second one, I didn't have any money because I had lost my wallet. That's why I didn't have any money. What happened first? I had lost my wallet first, then that's why I didn't have any money. That's why I used here past simple with I didn't have any money. Look at the last one. Had you ever visited the US before your trip in 2006? Yes, I had been to the US once before. I had been here, I mean I visited this place before this specific time. Moving to slide 18. We also use the past perfect to describe an action which was completed before a specific point of time in the past. My mom had done the washing up by midnight. I mean, she finished this action before midnight. Slide 19. Let's talk about the time expressions. We have a lot, like already, ever, never, just, when, by the time, after, by, before. Slide 20 and the last one, we have here some choices. Choose the correct answer. I hope that you would be able to answer them depending on your understanding. Thanks a lot for your great attention and goodbye.